Good afternoon. It's March 10th, 2023, and today we are looking at, I would call it a downtrend day. Let's take a look at these legs, see if they're measured moves. Yeah, and so we went well beyond the measured move, but what we did have was we had a range in the overnight, and we broke lower, and we have a measured move of this midline. And you can see we went right through it. However, well, I shouldn't say we went right through it. We had a small bounce here, but then we went through it, and then we found support right there after and bounced. But then we went right through it after that again. So just something to think about. Unfortunately, this big move, let's see, 933. So about an 85-point move right there, and there wasn't a whole lot of good opportunities. I mean, maybe you take this triple test. We'll take a look at that when we get there, but let's take a look at these trades. So there was a news item this morning, so you probably don't even want to trade until after that. We come up here, and you get a second entry. I didn't think about that. Maybe consider that second entry, but perhaps this one. Yeah, actually, technically the second entry is right here. That looks like one leg, two-legged pullback, and this leg looks like a two-legged pullback in that. So this is technically a new high. So you get a first entry, second entry. That's also a failed second entry short. For the failure, the bar closes below the EMA, so you don't really like that. But it's also a second entry long, so maybe you risk that. But I would imagine that this bar is pretty large, 24. So yeah, that's a 5.5 point bar. So you probably just want to be flat for a little bit, and then we have this range. We break out. The breakout fails. It tests the EMA, comes back, tests the midline. And then we have a first entry, failed second entry long. That's also a second entry short. It's also a breakout pullback. And it confirms this trend line. So I marked this green, but if you see all that, I think you can confidently take that. And that starts a pretty massive downtrend. All this is too far from the EMA. You get a first entry, second entry up here. The signal bar's no good. And we keep moving down, and I guess technically this is a failure. Let me go ahead and mark that green. But we came up short of the trend channel here, at least the way I was seeing it. We did. I mean, perhaps you have it drawn like I'd probably have it drawn like that because of this. And that would make you think we have an overshoot. So, yeah, I mean, I'd probably have it like that. So yeah, actually, I'd probably have it like that because that's on these closes, and that makes it look pretty good. But it doesn't hit the highs of that trend channel, so you got to be careful because you might get another second leg back. So not the best move. The rest of this is just too far from the EMA. We break out below the overnight lows and get an overshoot of that channel. But we don't really get a setup to go long. There's no break and move to a new low. And look at that. A lot of people probably loaded up on a second entry short right here and got trapped. And, that's why you got to be careful and be aware of this stuff. So we form this trend channel, and you get a first entry, second entry. Yeah, we don't have a move to a new low yet, but that's a very bullish signal bar, and there's probably enough room to scalp out 92 before right there. So there's 4 ticks to that level where you might expect some resistance, and yeah, you can see prices hit that level and they pulled back. So that's stuff you have to be aware of. I've noticed more and more is these levels of of resistance that come just where bars close and stuff. So anyway, that second entry, it's off the trend channel though, looks pretty good. Very bullish signal bar, and we go higher. And then we form this price level, and you get a first entry, second entry that's also a double test off the trend channel, and you can see the midline creates a level of resistance temporarily, but then we go higher, and that midline does eventually hold prices, and it leads to a break. People going long right here on a second entry long got trapped, and I mean, look, we came up short of the highs of the channel. So do better, stay out of that. When we come up here and you get a first entry, failed second entry, we didn't get a new high from this channel, so not the greatest setup, but maybe you're expecting you know, a new low for this, so maybe you take that. And you know, this looks like one leg down, so maybe we get a second leg down. And you can see we come up short of that. But we come down here and you get we got a double test, but there's not, I don't know, it doesn't close below the EMA, so I'm not too crazy about that. And now it just looks like you're chopping on both sides of the EMA. I mean, really, that starts about here. And we could just have like a range with a measure move here. That looks like, yeah, that looks like that could be what's going on. That's probably what's going on, is we just have a range with a yeah, and you can see that that's the midline of the range. And then we get this and that big leg out. That tells us that's the end of the range. You can see we're hitting that measured move. So anyway, we get this huge leg up into this level of congestion. Break of this channel, move to a new high, we go sideways. You get a first entry, second entry, a lot of doji, few bars with stems in here, stem, long stem, so you might be a little hesitant to take that, especially with, you know, the closing price from yesterday, the opening price from today being right there. A lot of times that can get a little wild, but it's at the lows of this range, so you might take it. We break out to the high side, it fails. We go lower and we get a breakout to the low side. Unfortunately, no higher low here. And then we just go higher. And this kind of looks like a channel right here, but so far from the EMA, I think you just wanna play it. Play it according to this leg up, and you know, we get a break and a couple legs up to a new high, and then it reverses. So, and then you get a first entry, failed second entry. Only problem is both these swings are above the EMA, so I'm just not crazy about it. And it looks like we're trying to test the highs of the overnight, but it is a big, very, very big bearish bar, and we'll probably, this looks like one leg down, so we'll probably get this looks like half of a leg, like we're gonna get a two-legged leg, for lack of a better term, and that's exactly what happens here. And look at that, look where it bounces. It's just it's fascinating. So that turns out to be a big move. This kind of looks like a failure here, but it's really not, because this is not a new high, and it's not really a double top, but it kind of looks like it. But I'm not going to mark that, even though it looks good. And all of this is just too far from the EMA, although you can see prices responding to that midline. I think you're better off waiting. You get an overshoot that leads to some sideways stuff, and you get this higher low that leads to the break, and then you get a double test up here. I don't think you can. I don't think you can take that, even though this kind of looks like we have a break and move to a new high already. It could. Actually, yeah. I mean, if you look at that, but that's matching highs. I don't know. It's just tough. I mean, I'll mark it green because there's room back to the EMA. Yeah, so there's 3 points back to the EMA. You might take that. And then you get a first. Really, that's a failure, but look at how congested that is. I don't think you want to take that, but a lot of people liked it. Start going lower. You get a second entry short, but it's pretty sideways. It's at the overnight lows. We're not really sure what's going on. And then you get this failure. And maybe you take that one because we broke out below the overnight lows. The attempt to go higher once fails, lower high fails, lower high fails. So you might take those. You really might. And that'd be a great move. And then if you perhaps you take these ones, but at that point you're not too sure that it's a strong trend. But I think by this time you might take these. That's a tough one though. Then we get a break of this steeper channel, get a pull back to this channel, and get a break, move to a new low, and we reverse, no setups, break, move to a new high, reverses. Maybe you take this one, but this swings above the EMA, so I'm not crazy about it. This looks like a second entry short, but it's not. But there's room. I mean, there's enough room for 4 ticks, I think. 60.50, 60.50. So there's 59.50, but to this low, there's 58 cents. So there's room there. There's some overlap. So typically, I don't like these, but it just looks good. Over here, I actually marked this as a second entry long, but it's also a reversal. But I'm not sure how I feel about this. Maybe if you see, because this is where it bounced at that measured leg from the midline. Maybe if you see that, you take it. I marked it green because there's not a lot of room to these highs. So if there was more room, I would mark that blue. Come up here, more confirmation of the trend channel, just the first entry. Then we get a break and a couple legs up to a new high. And you get a reversal here, a reversal pattern, but it's sideways. You see it doesn't really go anywhere. First entry, second entry, no signal bar. Then you get a first entry, failed second entry long. I think you got to take this one because we just had this really strong downtrend. We have this leg of correction, breaks, moves to a new high. We couldn't even test this level of resistance just yet, and then we get another sell-off, break, move to a new low, and then it's trying to go higher again, or trying to reverse again. That's what's happening, is the market's trying to reverse. So we come up here, and we can't even match this high without a break and a move to a new high of this channel. So after we do get a break of this channel and a couple legs up to a new high, then it's time to start. In my opinion, I was looking for a reversal on the MES. I got chopped up, but I was going short, and it's or not, you have a strong feeling it's going lower. You just got to time it right. And we get this break, move to a new low, and then they try and go higher once. And you can see this just looks like the high. And we make a lower high here than this. So when you get that first entry, failed second entry, I think you got to take that. And then that brings you to the end of the day. I don't think you want to be trading any of this stuff. So that's how I saw it today. I hope everyone had a great day and a great week, and I'll be back on Monday.